reviewed your resume, so we're not going to ask you to go through that first again. So we're going to go right to the questions.
Sounds good.
Please state your reasons for applying to the superintendency of our district.
Sure. I just, before we start, just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity. I do appreciate that. Main reason for applying, I know how great Big Rapids Public Schools is. I am proud to say I'm an employee of Big Rapids Public Schools. Around the state, Big Rapids Public Schools is recognized as a top school. And because of that, I want to continue to be an educational leader in this school. And I have aspirations of being a superintendent. And so if I can do that here, that's what I want to do. From kindergarten to our high school, we truly do have exemplary schools. We offer programs, we offer choice, we offer opportunities for students to pursue passions, and I think that's what makes us a school of choice in the area. And because of that, I'm not looking for superintendent jobs elsewhere. I've not applied for superintendent jobs elsewhere. I want to be the superintendent of Big Rapids Public Schools.
Thank you.
Over the past years of working in the district, what have you learned about our district?
I've learned in the past years working here is that there are great people here. We have great students, we have great parents, we have a great staff, an incredible staff. We have people that care about kids. And I've always been of the philosophy that students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I truly believe that. And I truly, as a teacher, believe that. And what I found is that our staff believes that. When we were asked in recent years to go and evaluate rigor, relevance, and relationships, we know what those expectations are from the state of Michigan. We know what their curriculum is. We know we have to get the GLICs and the high school content expectations in. But we had to flip that upside down because we want to focus on relationships, because we know that's what's most important. If we're going to get our kids to learn, they need to first know we care about them. So, as what I've learned about our schools, I know we have those kind of people here, and those are the kind of people that I'd like to be a part of that team.
And a two-part question.
Yeah.
Now you have some suggestions for creating a specific direction for our district based on what you know.
My concern is, I guess it's twofold, is we're at a point in time with a real tough budget situation at the state level. It's not just Big Rapids. And I think the good news is everybody knows that now. I truly feel that even at our board meeting the other night, people realize that it's not just us, it's all around us. So our vision needs to be, how do we continue to maintain those opportunities for students to become lifelong learners, to pursue passions, to find those areas of interest that they may want to pursue outside of high school. You know, whether that be through the Career Center, whether that be through dual enrollment opportunities, whether that be through our programs in arts, our practical arts. I think we need to still continue to find ways to keep those opportunities for our kids. So as a vision, my concern is that those may potentially be cut. We need to maintain those opportunities for our kids. We need to find ways to maintain those opportunities for our students.
Would you describe the process you would go through to assess the condition of the school district's finances? And I can ask this several times: finances, educational programs, and community relations. So start with finances.
With finances, I think the first thing I would do is I'd sit down with our finance director. I'd sit down and talk with him. You know, I know that we work well together, and I know that I have to be able to put my trust in our finance director. You know, we need, at the end of the day, we need to have a balanced budget. We need to make sure that there aren't any surprises. We need to make sure there are no surprises, that we have a balanced budget, but that trust has to be there. So that would be my first point. I would want to talk with the board for sure to find out what is our goal with the budget. Do we want to have a certain percentage in fund equity? do we want to maintain the levels that we're currently at? Are we willing to spend that down to maintain programs? You know, so I guess those would be the places I would start. I think you always have to include all the stakeholders in decisions like that, though. I think we need to make sure that our teachers, our staff, our parents are part of that discussion as well. But I think those are the key players that you got to start with at the beginning. The second, educational programs, is that?
The second one is, yeah, how would you assess the condition of our educational programs?
I think the same thing is, in a team concept, I need to trust the people that we're working with. I would want to talk to our principals. I'd want to talk to our principals. I'd want to talk to our curriculum director. I'd want to talk to our teachers. That's where the delivery is happening. And we need to look at, are we aligned with our high school content expectations? Are we aligned with our clicks? And I know that we are. I truly believe that. But that's where I would start. I mean, we need to talk to those people that are leading our schools. We need to talk to our teachers. We need to talk to our principals and let them lead in their buildings. And I truly believe that, again, it's that trust. You know, we have professionals there. You have high expectations for them. You hold them accountable. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to count on them in those roles. As far as community, you know, I feel that, you know, again, being a member of the community, I've got a pretty good sense of, I think, how our school is received in the community. We are, as school employees, are the best marketers for our school. We are the people that can sell our school and our programs. We are the people that can tell people that even though we're going through these tough times, we still have the best teachers in the area. We still have teachers with master's degrees. We still have teachers that are leaders in different programs around the state. We are the best marketers for our school. But we need to look at, are we receiving that light? You know, we have to communicate with the public. I think a critical piece, and I feel this way as a principal, and I think that you see me when you come to events, whether it's a band concert, a choir concert, an athletic event, I'm there. You know, I'm usually there with my kids in tow, but I'm there. We need to be visible. We need to make ourselves accessible so that the community can contact us. Does that answer what you were kind of looking for there?
I think so. Yeah, good question was just assess the condition. I think we went past that.
Okay, thanks.
Tim, what do you think is your greatest administrative strength, and how do you think that would help with the graphics schools improve?
I personally believe in a shared leadership approach or a servant leadership approach where I provide support. I want our teachers to be involved in the decision-making process. And so, as a leadership style, I think that is my greatest strength. I want to be collaborative. I want to work together with our staff. As a personal strength, I believe that I truly, my character is what's important to me, and having high integrity, doing what I say I'm going to do. You know, I want people to be able to trust me because I'm trustworthy. I want them to be able to know that I care about them. You know, and I guess those are maybe softer skills, but those are what I think are important. I think we have to be able to work together as a district. And I know as the role of superintendent, and this, I don't know if this question will come later, you know, you need to be able to, I know that that final decision will end with me. I do know that, and I'll be communicating with the board, and I have confidence that I can make those decisions at that time, and I know I've kind of digressed here. And so I'll wait and see if that opportunity comes up later.
Do you think that your decision-making, you trust your decision-making enough that that is one of your strengths that would help?
I do, because the decisions that I make will be gathered with input from our stakeholders, and it's gonna be in the best interest of kids.
As class sizes rise and staff are doing more with less, can you give us an example of how you build trust and raise morale among all school employees?
I guess, I think the biggest, what we try to do is, simple things is celebrating our successes in our building. At monthly meetings, we used to, it was carnations, now we give out like candy bars, you know, with little quotes on it to thank people for small successes. You know, you need to recognize the small successes. We need to realize that we're all in this together. You know, there's you talk about building trust. The book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and if you've read it or not, it talks about that. That first layer is trust, and without trust, you can't do anything else. I mean, and so you got to make sure that we build that trust at the most basic level. And so celebrating those small successes, talking to people, interacting with people, being visible, all of those things I think help to let people know, tell them they did a good job. You know, telling your teachers, telling your students that they're doing a good job.
Okay, Tim, everyone receives a suggestion for improvement in their performance reviews. What was suggested for improvement in your last evaluation, and how you've been working in that, on that area?
I guess as a area of improvement is I want to make sure that for a position like this, that I have a greater understanding of the entire process, you know, of, and I've talked, as we talk about evaluation with our superintendent, about kind of what my goals and aspirations are. And so to gain that better understanding and being involved in as many things as I can. So weakness, if I know I want to be a superintendent, how do you fill those gaps, you know? I'm pursuing my doctorate in leadership. I've got all the coursework done at this point in time. I attend different workshops for you know, superintendent boot camp type things. I've been on the negotiations team for 7 years. I have volunteered last year. You know, we had committees, Nick and I, with community members to kind of go through the budget process. I mean, so I know that those are areas that I need to get a better picture of and improve on, and so that's why I'm trying to take steps to gain that better understanding.
How would you evaluate our curriculums and the use of technology influence on student learning?
Curriculum as a whole, I think we got to know what the end target is. You know, when we're doing dealing with curriculum, there's something that I've gone by as CIA. It's curriculum, instruction, and assessment. You know, and those are the 3 things that you kind of look at when you're looking at your curriculum. You know, first, the end target is the assessment, so we know where we're going. The curriculum is given to us now by the state of Michigan. It's what the Huskies, down the road, it'll be the Common Core. And then our instruction is what we do to deliver that. I think technology is becoming a critical piece. Our students are so much more comfortable with technology than any of us are. I mean, it's a part of their daily life, and I think it's that paradigm shift that we're still working on as a school. At a high school, I mean, even simple things as a cell phone or an iPod, where we have rules against them because we're concerned about the effects that they're going to have. Well, we need to look at opportunities to potentially embrace it because that's the way we're going. These kids, if we can teach, it's what I've, like as an example, texting in class. Well, just like we wouldn't put up with a kid talking to another student in class, it's the behavior that's the issue there. You know, it's not the fact that they've got a phone, it's the fact that they're talking to somebody else while the teacher's talking. And so I guess our goal with technology in curriculum is making sure that we're teaching kids the proper uses of that technology to help them gain more with their education.
What is the most important accomplishment during the past 3 years as you work to improve student learning? How do you evaluate your results?
I would say, our greatest accomplishment, the one that we're most recognized in the last 3 years, is our silver medal that Big Rapids High School received from U.S. News and World Report. And that was not something that we had to apply for like the Blue Ribbon. It was something that they recognized what we were doing as a school. That on a bigger scale. I think on a smaller scale, I think our greatest accomplishment is, as we have seen our class sizes increase, we've seen 10 different courses be cut out of our curriculum because of budget cuts. We've seen class sizes much higher than we all would like to have it, and yet we've still been able to maintain strong test scores. Our ACT scores are still above the state average. I think this year, you're going to see when our scores come out, we made a significant increase over last year. So our staff has done a great job of embracing the situation and going with it. And finding ways to still get through to kids and still build those relationships. One thing this year, we implemented this core time, connections, outreach, relationships, and education. We came up with that. But the intent behind that is we've been losing some of those connections. We feel like kids are, and it's something, we're still growing through this. This is something that needs to improve. We're not there yet with this program. But our goal with it is to provide opportunities for students to build a relationship with a teacher, because they might be in a classroom of 50 or 40, and they may not be able to have those same connections. If we can have them create a mentor-mentee type relationship with a teacher where they're getting updated data, updated scores on how their students are doing, then that teacher can go up, hey, Johnny, I see you're struggling in math. Is there something going on? And I know that this is what we're trying to build towards. It was something that we kind of, as a staff, developed during our PD at the beginning of the year. And so it's a continually growing process, but that I would see as probably our greatest strength is how we've dealt with this situation, the difficult situation.
How does the superintendent balance the importance of academic, co-curricular, and extracurricular activities in the district?
And I guess they're all important, and they all are important for different reasons. Obviously, academics is our #1 priority. I mean, we have to have our students graduating from high school. We have to have them college ready. We have to prepare them for work. When I say college ready, college career ready after high school. But extracurriculars and activities are what a lot of times keep kids in school. They provide opportunities for kids to stay in school and to have something that they enjoy. It's an outlet for them just as it's an outlet for us. So I think it's a balance. I mean, we have to focus on the academics, but we have to realize that those other activities and athletics are extremely important as well. We've got to make sure we find ways to maintain offerings for our students.
The district has made AYP in all of the buildings. How would you maintain and improve that progress?
I think, again, it comes back to knowing what that target is, where we have to be, and then we have to work backwards from that. We know what the end goal is, and that's to make AYP. So what things have we done to make sure we're doing that? Do we have the curriculum in place? Do we have the instruction in place so that at the end of the day, we can still continue to meet AYP?
Can you give us an example how you use data to improve our district performance?
Sure. This is an area that, as you talk about an area where we can improve, this is an area we can improve as well. Data is something that it's critical. We use it in most of the decisions we make. It needs to be in every decision we make. it needs to, we have, where we've made the greatest use of it is even, 5 years ago when we made the transition to trimesters. We looked at the benefits of making that transition to trimesters, so we use data there. On a year-to-year basis, I think a lot of times the data that we use is simple data like looking at test scores, looking at our attendance, looking at our grades. So we use it on a day-to-day basis. Where we tried to get better at it, and we're gonna, I think as an ISD and as a school, get better, is we're making greater attempts to, the end test now is the MME or the ACT. So we've been incorporating the last few years the plan test for our freshman and sophomore to help prepare them for that, but also to gather data from that and to see, all right, so we have a weakness in a certain subject area. Well, how do we target that, and how do we make sure that we improve in that? And that's something that we've probably not done as good a job as we could. We're starting to learn that process, and I think we're going to get better because the ISD is going to help support those tests at all levels, even in the middle school, where we'll be able to watch a student from 7th to 8th to 9th to 10th grade, and hopefully be able to track that student's performance so that they're improved.
So we're doing great on time, so let me just expand a little bit on that. There's obviously costs to collecting and managing data, and I'm sure there's also will be demands from the state Department of Education or the legislature on using data to verify. How do you see us keeping up with that?
Well, I think part of it is if you look at some of the new legislation that's going to come to us eventually. I mean, I know it's still, they're still talking through it, but evaluations, data is going to have to be, is going to be a part of that. So we're going to have to make sure that we're collecting and using that data and making it practical enough so that we can all use it. The ISD currently hosts a Pearson product for us, and Limelight, different data software that we can use, and I know we fund it as a district, but I know that it's something that it's a goal of the ISD, so we'll work collaboratively with them to make sure that we're doing what we need to do for the state of Michigan.
Would you give us specific examples of what you would do on a regular basis to keep the staff, the board, and the community informed on current issues that are impacting the district?
Communication is very important. It's something that we need to make sure that we have those open lines. I know that I would make sure that I'm communicating with you on a weekly basis, letting you know what's going on in our schools, whether that be, and I would ask you, what's the best form of communication for you? Because some people don't want anything. Some people would rather have something, me communicate with them by phone. And I would ask that of you, and based on the direction you gave me, I would do that. I currently at the high school, I do a weekly update. Every week, on Friday, I kind of go through either things that have happened or things that are coming up. And I put an email with some bullet points, ask them to read it at their own convenience, and it's usually reminders of things coming up, but to keep them abreast. I know they're busy and they're concentrating on their classroom, so we need to be able to share that. As a district, we've got to continue to have a district newsletter, and we have that. We have a good district newsletter in place. We do a good job communicating with the Pioneer, and we need to continue to do that as well. I think Tom did a great job with the Ferris TV, communicating in Making the Grade, I believe is the name of his program over there. And I think that was a nice outlet, another form of communication with the community. With the staff, I would say it goes that same way, that you would have to make sure that there's some sort of, whether it's coming from the building level or if it's coming from the district level, and that would be something that I'd want to talk to our principals about and say, is this something that would be good to have a 3-point thing of things going on, and you would you guys could let me know, and then we could share with everybody? Or is it something that's best taken care of at the building level? But it's critical. I mean, we've got to let people know what's going on in our schools so that they're aware of what's going on.
Tim, if an action item you bring to the board results in a 4-3 vote, what does that mean to you as a superintendent, and what would you do about it?
You know, I guess it would depend on the item. You know, it would depend on the situation. I'd reflect on myself and say, you know, if I was hoping it was going to be 7-0, maybe I didn't do a good enough job of giving you the information you needed to make that decision. If it was something that I truly felt that strongly about and it ended 4-3, maybe I didn't do a good enough job of clarifying to you. But then in that same respect, a 4-3 vote, you represent the community. You represent, you all have different opinions and for different reasons. And so to that end, I would understand that. I mean, I would understand, that's why we have a school board, so that we have a representative council of our community making decisions. And so my job, I believe, my job would be to inform you of what's coming up and do my best to give you as much information to make an informed decision. And then at the end of the day, we have to support your decision.
Would you describe the budget development process that you would use as superintendent, and how you would involve the board, the staff, the community in a budget cycle under constant reductions?
Yeah, and that's a difficult question right now, because I think any decision we make is going to be bad for kids. You know what I mean? And I don't know who said it up here, but I've heard it before. It's the best of the bad decisions that we're going to make. You know what I mean? And I guess first and foremost, as I said before, I would want to talk to you and kind of get your expectation of where we want to be at the end. Do we want a certain amount in fund equity? What are the programs that you want to maintain? What are the programs that are, you know what, this is our sacred cow, we're not touching this, okay? What are the programs where we look at and say there's some flexibility? But at the same time, I would have to be working hand in hand with Nick, you know, making sure, again, that we have a balanced budget, because we have to. Making sure that there are no surprises, that we, as best we can. I mean, Lansing's up in the air, you know, I mean, as far as decisions that we're making, but as best we can to make sure there aren't going to be surprises going forward. And I would have to trust, Nick, you know, to know that, because he is the finance director for our district. At that same time, we have got to include our staff and community in those decisions. We have to hear their points of view. It's got to be collaborative. It's got to be a team approach, because we need to know what's important to them. At the same time, we need to be doing a good enough job telling them where our real financial situation is, so that they realize, you know, if we want to have a swimming pool, you know, at this point in time, it's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? So we have to be honest with them, open with them, but building that trust relationship. So as you talk about, I think you got to start again with that end in mind. Talking to you guys, where do we want to be? What's the expectation? Work back with where are we, and then gather input, and then kind of work it back in the other direction before we make that final decision. And I know that the final decision is ultimately your decision, but my goal would be to bring you recommendations that the entire community felt were important.
Sue, I already asked one. Sue. I don't know. Sorry, Kate.
15, it's yours, Steve.
No, I just did 15, didn't I?
No. You're up.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. What process would you use as an evaluation administrator, and how would you direct the district to deal with ineffective staff?
Again, just as I truly believe in the evaluation process when I'm working with teachers, because our goal is to help them improve. Our goal is to help them improve as teachers. So my goal as an administrator would be to work with them, to work together to help them to improve professionally. At the same time, so you're going to set clear expectations, and then you're going to expect them to reach those expectations. At the same time, if they don't do that, there have to be consequences for their actions. You would want to give them time, plan of improvement, areas to improve, so that they have that opportunity to truly improve. But as you all know, and we've gone through some tough times together, and I've not brought you the greatest of situations at times. We've had to let go of a couple teachers because they didn't make the improvements we expected them to make. You know, I made the recommendation to you to non-renew a couple probationary teachers because we hadn't made those expectations. They hadn't made improvements in the areas we told them they needed to improve. And so at the end of the day, they still need to be held accountable for those expectations.
What do you see as a superintendent and board's role in the collective bargaining process?
You know, and again, as I've kind of given where I philosophically feel first, again, it comes back to we have got to have a strong relationship between us and our unions, with us and our teaching staff, with us and our other groups within the district. We've got to have that trust, that communication. I think it's important to, I know we, as a district, we've had a lead negotiator, and if that's the direction, I think that's a good thing. But we also need to look at other options. I'm a believer, and I think interest-based bargaining is a good approach too, because everybody then gets to share their opinion at the table. I think you can do a blend of both, where we would still have somebody in leading it, but we would have built those trust relationships so that we can make decisions together. That's the critical piece to me, is being able to have those relationships up front so that we can talk about, guys, we have this pot of money. I mean, we're losing money next year, so we've got to do something. And if everybody trusts each other, we're going to have a great opportunity to have a positive result. We've done as a board and administration, we've done the SWOT analysis before. I look at this as the opportunity. I think this is one of our best opportunities for us right now is we're going to have new leadership, both in our teachers union, and we're also going to have new leadership in our central office. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to build that bridge and hopefully build that trust so that we can have those strong communication and collaboration.
As a hypothetical question, on Monday morning, there are 3 complaints on the answering machine brought to you by a staff member. Or brought to you. One is from a staff member, one is from a parent, one is from a board member. And they're all about the same situation. 3 messages, one from a parent, one from a staff person, one from a board member about the same incident. How would you prioritize and respond to those complaints and why?
You know, and I guess it may be a bad answer, but you'd want to know what the situation was. You know, I mean, depending upon the situation, it's probably going to indicate how I have to respond, you know, to the situation. To that end, I always feel that it's important to talk to the parent, to put their mind at ease. You know, you guys know that we're going to communicate, and you know, you guys have the same understanding that we need to make sure that the parents are comfortable. They need to, if it's a safety issue, we want to make sure that their students feel safe. So that would be my first, and I'd want to listen to them. And then my hope would be is to maybe be able to redirect them to who they maybe should be talking to. If it's an issue with the teacher, have you talked to the teacher yet? If you did, so that we have that chain of command, so we can follow those steps. Rather than, if I'm the superintendent and I'm always given the answer, that's not going to be effective at all. I need to trust our teachers, trust our administrators to to be that first line and be able to talk to the parents. I think my second, I want to talk to the teacher and find out kind of what their perspective was on the situation as well. And then, you know, sorry to say, I'd probably save you guys for last. And then give you a call and say, this is what we're dealing with. I've talked to the parent, I've talked to the teacher. This is the impression that I'm getting at this point in time. And then, you know, hopefully be able to deal with the situation.
What methods have you used to promote your district's image and within the school community and to the general public?
I think within the school community, we've made sure that people realize that we've done some pretty neat things as a school here, as a whole. You know, from the blue ribbon and making sure we plaster that all over the place, so people see that when they come in the door that they're walking into a blue ribbon school. We've done that with the silver medal, but other successes, student successes. We have a newsletter that goes out, and we make sure that we always put those successes, things that students have done, whether they placed first, fifth at Mites, the Mites competition, if our quiz bowl team was successful, if band got Division I ratings, first division ratings. We want to make sure that the kids realize that they're important and what they're doing is important as well. So we do that, the newsletter, we post it around the school. We've created this year through our core time, and this has been kind of another one of those things that has worked out really nicely. We've created a Celebrate Our Successes assembly at the end of every trimester, where teachers, and we have one teacher that's kind of led it up, Gobani is kind of taking the lead on that, and we send him those, the good things that have gone on. Teachers ask students, we send it to him, and then we have an assembly where we all go to the gym, and just for a 20-minute, half-hour assembly, celebrate the good things that are going on in our school, things that get missed because we're busy. And so it's important to make sure our kids realize that they're important, what they're doing is being recognized as well. You know, we've done a better job, I think, of using our announcements and putting those on the webpage so parents can see those as well, so that they're aware of things going on. We've started to use the email system better, where we send out those global emails so everybody kind of knows what's going on in different situations. So it's extremely important to celebrate our successes. Especially, and I've said this to people when I talk to, is we as a school have a tendency to buffer and beam. We have a tendency to buffer all the bad stuff out and beam all the good stuff, because people, which can be a double-edged sword, people want to hear about the good things that you're doing, so we need to share those, we need to celebrate those successes, and we buffer a lot of the bad stuff. But I think it's come back to hurt us when we're making these budget cuts, because people don't realize just how bad it is. And so finally, I think everybody's coming to the table and saying, it's really bad, you know. And so successes, and then I talk about it, so I apologize about that. But it's important to communicate, it's important to share those successes.
And that's good that you did it on both sides, because it's not always positive.
How do you judge your own effectiveness, and in keeping with that, how would you expect the board to evaluate your work?
At the end of the day, I mean, my effectiveness is you can feel how things are going in a building. You know, it's just, there's a feel of whether your team is going in the right direction. If you have the positive rapport, if there's a sense, you can get a sense that there's something off. So when you say, how do I kind of look at how we're doing? On a day-to-day basis, that's kind of how I gauge how we're doing. Am I hearing things? Are there things I need to address with staff, with kids, whatever that may be? At the end of the day, it's got to be how we're doing as a school. It's got to be if we're performing at levels we need to perform. I think Big Rapids Public Schools, and this is one of the things why I'm proud to be a part of Big Rapids Public Schools, we've set a high expectation where we want kids to excel. We have whether it be in music, in the arts, whether it be in academics, whether it be on the athletic field. we expect kids, and we've set that bar high. And so, for myself, I want to have that bar set high as well. I want us to continue to perform. As a superintendent, it'll be brand new to me if I have that opportunity to how to be evaluated. And that would be something I would hope that we could talk about down the road. And I would ask for guidance from you, I'd ask for guidance from the ISD as to what is fair to be looking at with the superintendent. What is reasonable? What's expected? You know, at the end of the day, it's got to be how our schools are performing. Do we have a safe school? Do students feel safe in school? Are we giving them the academics that they need? Are we giving them the extracurriculars that they need? In the end, I would hope that that's how I'm judged. And then, again, it would definitely be a learning process. It's not something that I've done before, and so I would want to make sure I'm working with you guys. And you tell me. I would hope you tell me, Tim, I need to see this out of you. I want to see. You know what? We're going to take a chance on you, but I need to see this out of you. And that would be something that now I've got a target. Now I've got something I can shoot
for. How much political involvement should the superintendent have to ensure their voice is being heard and understood in Lansing?
How much involvement, I guess, is, it depends on how you want to look at it. We need to be involved. The superintendent has to be involved. They're the spokesperson for the district. They represent the district. They need to be out there telling their story to people that are making the decisions at a higher level. You know, so it's critical. But there has to be a balance too, because the people here need to know that you're there for them, and that you're visible here, and you're visible in their buildings, and you're visible communicating with them as well. So it's got to be that balance, but it's part of your job. I mean, it would have to be something that is an expectation that you need to communicate with Lansing, and making sure that on both ends, sharing with them what's important, but then also gathering that information and being able to bring it back and share it with your staff and with the community and with the board, so that the board realizes what decisions are potentially being made, because that would be my responsibility.